The first 2 episodes of Hijack set the tone for the series, and we got to know how Sam Nelson found himself amidst a huge crisis. The plane he had boarded was hijacked, and nobody had any clue about it until a woman named Alice from the UK Air Traffic Control Centre found that the plane was not running on its normal course. Nobody knew who these hijackers were or what their demands were. The English law enforcement authorities and the Air Traffic Control Centre needed to find a lot of information to be fully aware of the situation before the plane landed in their country. Meanwhile, Sam Nelson, together with Robin Allen and others, was trying his best to communicate as much as he could with the ground staff and make them aware of their situation. So let's find out what happened in the 3rd episode of Hijack and what Sam and the other passengers planned on doing. After Alice found out in the previous episode of Hijack that Flight KA-29 was not following the normal route, the Swanwick Air Traffic Control Centre issued a warning, and other agencies started looking into the matter. Zara Goffer, from the Counter-Terrorism Department, informed her seniors about the issue and gave them whatever little intel she had on the issue. She told them how the Iraqi Air Control Centre had identified some anomalies, and Alice had found substantial evidence through which they could conclude that something was not right on the flight. Zara told her seniors how the pilot had issued a warning, which he later suspiciously withdrew by saying that it was a false alarm. She then told about the message that Sam Nelson had sent to his wife, Marcia, informing her that there had been an incident on the flight. Zara was in touch with Daniel Farrell, as he was the one who had informed her about the message that Sam had sent Marcia. Zara checked if their national database had any information about the 216 passengers, and though she got a hit on one person named John T. Collins, who had been convicted in the past for serious crimes, there was nothing dubious about any other passenger. Zara didn't know what to do next, so she sent the passenger names to Daniel to see if he could find anything about them. Daniel found out that there were 5 people on that plane on whom no information existed in any database, and he was pretty sure that these people were the hijackers. We know that there were 5 hijackers on the plane, so Daniel is probably right about his speculation. Zara finally got the breakthrough she was looking for, and now the law enforcement agencies were geared up to find more information on these people and ascertain the motive behind their actions. Until now, no call or communication had been made by the hijackers that tell us why they were doing it in the first place. The leader of the hijackers contacted somebody, and we came to know that they, too, were acting on the orders of some people who were probably the masterminds behind the entire charade. It did feel like the hijackers were also quite nervous, and it was probably the first time they were committing a crime of such magnitude. People were getting restless on the flight, and they didn't know if they would ever live to see another day. The hijackers found out that Robin Allen, the pilot, and Sam Nelson had been talking through the game that was installed on their screens. The leader of the hijackers brutally assaulted Robin and then came to Sam Nelson. He asked him to keep smiling, otherwise he will hit him with the handle of his gun. The female hijacker pointed a gun toward another passenger, and Sam was told to keep smiling if he didn't want the passenger to get shot. The hijacker didn't hit Sam, but the kind of fear and mental torture he went through at that moment made him realize that they were treading on thin ice, and there was no certainty about what the hijacker would do next. They did not have the luxury to waste another minute, and by making the plane take a different route, they tried to inform the ground staff about their situation, but they couldn't depend on that and needed to do more. A passenger sitting just behind Sam said that the guns that the terrorists were using were fake. Hugo, the passenger right next to Sam, wanted to take down the hijackers, but Sam told him that it was not a wise thing to do. Sam wanted to be sure before making any move, because if it turned out that the speculation was wrong and the guns were real, then there could be dire consequences, and someone might lose their life. But Hugo was restless, and he pretended to be sick so that he could go to the washroom and pass a message to the passengers sitting in the economy to look for a bullet on the floor. The hijackers had fired 1 round earlier, and Hugo was of the opinion that if all they had were black shells, then no bullet would be found on the ground. The passengers did not find any bullets, but Sam still didn't want to act based just on that information. He asked the Egyptian traveler to make a drawing of a fake and real bullet so that he could show it to Naomi, the girl who had found the bullet in the washroom, and she could ascertain if what she found was real or not. Somehow Arthur, the flight attendant, was able to pass the paper to Naomi, who confirmed that the bullet was fake. Sam told Hugo that they would have to take their chances and take down the weakest of the hijackers. He found the old hijacker to be the most vulnerable target and asked Hugo to attack him, but Hugo was too nervous to even move, and he told Sam that he wouldn't be able to do it. So Sam took it upon himself and attacked the old man. At the same time, We saw the leader of the hijackers, who was in the cockpit, loading his gun with what seemed to be actual bullets. It is possible that, though all the guns were fake, there was one that was real. It could have happened that Sam and others were wrong in speculating that the hijacker didn't have real bullets on them. The end of Hijack episode 3 left us on a cliffhanger as Sam stood in front of the old man and asked him to shoot, presuming that the shells were blank, but just then, he heard a loud bang. The leader of the hijackers saw things getting out of hand, and he went back and shot a lady who had gotten up to look for a little girl named Izzy. Terror could be seen in the eyes of the passengers, as their worst fears were now coming true. The hijackers were not using fake bullets, and Sam Nelson realized that he and others in the business class had committed a blunder. Sam Nelson started thinking of other ways to communicate with the air traffic control center. Meanwhile, the plane had entered Romanian airspace, and they were asking for verifications according to protocol. Captain Robin Allen was sitting in business class, but the leader of the hijackers was in no mood to let him come into the cockpit and reply to them. The leader was under the misconception that since the plane was headed to the UK, the different countries over whose airspace they were flying would let it pass even if they didn't answer according to protocol. But the leader was wrong, as Robin Allen pointed out that for a foreign nation, the plane is like a missile, and if either the government or the pilot didn't provide any information, then they would shoot it down. Meanwhile, the British Foreign Minister was briefed about the ongoing situation by Zara Ghaffar, and she made it very clear that unless and until they knew the nationality of the hijackers, they would not respond to any other nations. The Foreign Minister was constantly being contacted by his Romanian counterpart, but she was ignoring those calls as she had no idea what was happening. Alice Sinclair was in touch with the Romanian air traffic controllers, and she got to know that there were military jets flying side by side with the hijacked plane. Alice had been unable to convince her Romanian counterpart, and they had said that they were going ahead and shooting the planes down. Meanwhile, on the plane, Robin Allen told the hijackers the same thing: if they did not respond, then the Romanian planes were going to shoot them down. When the hijackers realized that what he was saying might be true, they let him enter the cockpit so that he could follow the protocol. But Robin found out that the microphone was broken and there was no way to communicate with the Romanian Air Traffic Control Center. Sam Nelson saw that one of the younger male hijackers was severely injured and was losing a lot of blood. Sam was an intelligent man and he had been in pressure situations before, and so he knew that he needed to control his emotions and try to manipulate his opponent. He knew that he had to win the trust of the hijackers, so he led them into conflicts where they ended up giving out information without realizing the damage they had done. He started talking to the injured hijacker and told him that he needed to get a doctor so that the bleeding could stop. The air hostess was trying to wrap a bandage around his wound, but Sam told her that she needed another man to help since she was not able to do it properly. Sam knew that the injured hijacker would get desperate if the threat seemed real, and he actually started entertaining the possibility of death. The hijacker was losing confidence with every passing second, and he was entering a space, psychologically speaking, where he just wanted somebody to save his life. He asked Sam to call Terry, but Sam lied that he couldn't see anybody. He asked the injured hijacker to uncuff him so that he could help. The hijacker agreed, and Sam quickly came and sat down near him. He started manipulating him, and the hijacker reached a point where he was no longer in control. He told Sam that he wanted to call his mother one last time and say something to her. Sam knew that he would never get this kind of opportunity where a phone with an active internet connection was given to him. Sam called his wife Marcia, and while she was on the phone he somehow managed to give her the hijacker's mother's phone number. As soon as Marcia got this information, she called Daniel and told her everything. Daniel knew that the number Sam had spoken on the phone was for a reason, and he immediately put it in the national database to find out who it belonged to. Daniel's team found out that it belonged to the Adderton family, and the number led them to find the details about other hijackers as well. Meanwhile, the Romanian Foreign Secretary, who was continuously in touch with his British counterpart, told her that in the next 60 seconds, they were going to shoot the plane down. The tensions rose, and everybody sat there holding their breaths. Just then, a list was sent directly to the British Foreign Secretary in which the names of the hijackers and their basic details were given. Lewis and Stuart Adderton, Jamie Constantinou, Terry Reid, and Jaden Dahir were the names of the 5 hijackers who were on the plane. The British Foreign Minister confirmed to Romania that the plane was headed to the United Kingdom and that the hijackers were all British nationals. The attack was called off by the Romanian government, and though there was still a long way to go, this little victory allowed all those who were involved to take a sigh of relief as the lives of hundreds of innocents were saved. Episode 4 ending left us on a cliffhanger as two important developments took place that caught our attention. A minister was given a folder that had the word "demands" written on it, and we believe that the hijackers have probably decided to let the government know what their motive behind hijacking the plane was. Also, we think that the demand wasn't made by the hijackers on the plane but by the masterminds operating from the ground, though still, we don't know anything about their whereabouts. The second thing that happened was that Marcia received a call from a stranger who identified himself as a delivery man and asked for Sam Nelson's address. Marcia didn't know who they were or what package they wanted to deliver, but when she reached home at the end of the episode, she didn't find her son in the house. It could be a possibility that those two men on the delivery truck might have received orders to kidnap the family members of Sam Nelson, just like they had done in Dubai. We would like to wait for the next episode to find out who these delivery men were, on whose orders they were acting, and if Sam Nelson's exceptional negotiation skills are able to save the day. Thank you for joining us on this journey, and I hope you enjoyed the Hijack episodes. We will meet in the next video.